Where else can you wander through a maze of alleys that make Google Maps cry, climb sand dunes taller than skyscrapers, and sip tea strong enough to make your eyelids jitter? Morocco is that wild mix of magic and chaos that feels like stepping into 10 different worlds packed into one country. And trust me, by the time you leave, you'll still be finding couscous in your shoes. The thing about Morocco is, it doesn't just sit quietly in the corner of North Africa. It shouts. Every city has its own personality, every valley hides a secret, and every mountain looks like it was painted just to mess with your idea of what landscapes are supposed to be. One minute you're wandering through a medieval city that smells like fresh bread and donkey sweat, and the next you're in the middle of a desert so quiet you can hear your own brain panicking about running out of water. It's extremes on extremes, and that's what makes it so unforgettable. Take Fes, for example. This place doesn't believe in straight lines. The Medina is a labyrinth where you'll get lost faster than your Wi-Fi in the Sahara. The streets twist and turn until you're convinced you've discovered a wormhole. Shops spill into alleys, cats rule rooftops, and every turn feels like you've stepped into another century. People say it's one of the largest car-free urban zones in the world. But let's be honest, it's not like a car would survive 5 minutes in there anyway. The alleys are so narrow, even a bicycle feels like overkill. And just when you're about to give up and live there permanently, you stumble across something that makes it all worth it. The oldest university in the world, built in the 9th century. Imagine that. Students were pulling all-nighters here before electricity even existed. Somewhere, a medieval scholar was stress-eating figs and complaining about exams, proving that some things never change. But Fes has another claim to fame that's way more photogenic: the leather dye pits. They look gorgeous from above, circles of bright reds, yellows, and blues shimmering under the sun. But step closer, and your nose will betray you. Let's just say centuries of tradition smell like dead fish and pigeon droppings. Instagram doesn't capture that part. Still, the craftsmanship is breathtaking. The colors, the techniques, the patience, it's all been passed down for generations. The tile work here is just as impressive. Geometric mosaics so detailed you start questioning whether humans actually did this or if aliens had a hand in Moroccan interior design. Now head north and you'll find yourself in Chefchaouen, the famous blue city. Picture this. You're walking through alleys where nearly every wall is painted in shades of blue, from baby pastel to deep ocean. It's like stepping into a dream, or let's be honest, like walking through a giant blueberry smoothie. Tourists show up in matching outfits, posing against the walls, hoping to blend in with the architecture. The locals must get a good laugh out of it. But the city's vibe is undeniable. Tucked into the Rif Mountains, it feels chilled out, cool, almost like Morocco's way of saying, relax, take a deep breath, and drink another mint tea. Then there's Tangier, the city that can't decide if it wants to be Africa, Europe, or something in between. Perched at the edge of the continent, it's been everything from a haven for spies during World War II to a retreat for artists, poets, and people who probably spent too much time staring dramatically at the sea. Walk around the Medina, and you can feel the layers of history. You'll find stories about Hercules hanging out in caves here. Apparently, he needed a vacation spot too. And the beaches? They stretch out along the point where the Atlantic shakes hands with the Mediterranean, which makes you realize Morocco really is standing at the crossroads of the world. Tangier is chaotic, colorful, and loud, but also strangely glamorous. It's got that air of a city that knows it's always been important. Of course, Morocco isn't just about cities. Drive out into the countryside and suddenly you're face to face with Volubilis, an ancient Roman city just casually chilling in the middle of fields. The ruins stretch across acres of land with columns, arches, and mosaics still showing off after 2,000 years. It's the kind of place that makes you wonder what future tourists will say about our abandoned shopping malls. Ah yes, the sacred food court of the ancients. But here in Volubilis, you can actually see how people lived. The villas, the temples, the evidence that even back then, people loved showing off their tile floors. And then, of course, comes the Sahara. Nothing really prepares you for the desert. It's not just sand. It's an ocean made of golden waves, stretching so far you start to question whether the horizon is real. In places like Mersouga and Erg Chebi, the dunes rise taller than skyscrapers. Climbing one feels like running on a treadmill made of hot flour. Every step slides back half the distance, and by the time you reach the top, you're sweaty, wheezing, and ready to cry. But the view makes it worth it. At sunset, the dunes glow orange, pink, and purple, as if the whole desert is on fire. And at night, forget city lights. The stars come out in full force. Looking so close, you'd swear you could touch them. Honestly, it makes you wonder why you've ever paid for a planetarium ticket. What's even crazier is how much life thrives around the edges of this desert. You find palm groves bursting out of nowhere, oases where the water sneaks through underground rivers, and suddenly you've got lush green valleys in the middle of a dry wasteland. Dade's Valley is one of those spots. People call it the Grand Canyon of Morocco, but with villages tucked between red cliffs and winding roads that seem like they were designed by a drunk snake. The Tadra Gorge is another showstopper, a narrow canyon with cliffs that shoot up over 1,000 feet. So close together, in some spots you can almost touch both walls at once. Rock climbers flock here, but even if you're not into dangling from ropes, it's impossible not to feel tiny in the best way when you're standing at the bottom looking up. And then there's the high Atlas Mountains, towering peaks that cut across Morocco like a massive stone backbone. Snow in winter, alpine meadows in summer, and villages that cling to the slopes like they're glued there. These mountains are home to Berber communities that have been living here for thousands of years, farming, herding, and carrying on traditions that have survived everything history has thrown at them. Hike up here, and you get not just views, but a real sense of how resilient people can be in the harshest landscapes. Plus, if you're lucky, you'll see goats climbing argan trees like it's a casual Tuesday activity. It's both hilarious and slightly unnerving to look up and realize there's a goat staring back down at you from a tree branch. But Morocco isn't just nature and ruins. It's a feast for the senses in every possible way. Walk into Marrakech, and the Medina hits you like a wall of noise, color, and scent. One minute it smells like saffron and grilled meat. The next it smells like, well, let's just say less pleasant things. The souks are endless, stalls overflowing with spices, lamps that make you feel like you've wandered into Aladdin's cave, textiles so bright they could blind you, and shopkeepers who could outsell your internet service provider. Bargaining here isn't optional, it's tradition. And even if you think you're good, you'll probably still walk away with 3 rugs you didn't plan on buying. Marrakech also hides pockets of calm, like the Majorelle Garden, where cobalt blue walls frame exotic plants from all over the world. It's so beautiful it once belonged to Yves Saint Laurent, because apparently fashion designers need Zen gardens too. And if you tilt your head up anywhere in Marrakech, chances are you'll spot the Koutoubia Mosque's minaret, standing tall and elegant over the chaos like a giant exclamation point. Further west, the coastal town of Essaouira takes the energy down a notch. Whitewashed walls, blue shutters, and sea air that smells way better than Fess's dye pits. The wind here never stops, which is perfect if you're into kite surfing and less perfect if you're trying to keep your hair in place. Musicians fill the streets, the fishing boats paint the harbor bright blue, and the whole place feels like a deep breath after the sensory explosion of Marrakech. Casablanca, on the other hand, is Morocco flexing its modern muscles. It's the city where glass towers and sleek avenues collide with tradition, giving you a skyline that feels more Miami than Maghreb. Skyscrapers shoot up into the sky, traffic never seems to sleep, and yet right there on the coast stands the Hassan II Mosque, basically shouting, "I'm not just a mosque, I'm a statement." Its minaret is so tall you could use it as a GPS marker from space, and part of the structure literally juts out over the Atlantic, like Morocco wanted to remind the ocean who's boss. Step inside and the details are staggering. Marble, mosaics, chandeliers. It's the kind of place where you catch yourself staring up so long your neck hurts. But you don't mind. And scattered all across the country, far from the bustle of Casablanca, are the Kasbahs, those mud brick fortresses that look like they were carved out of the desert itself. When the sun hits them just right, they glow in shades of copper and gold, like the earth decided to dress up for visitors. Ayat Ben Haddou is the crown jewel of them all. This fortified village has been holding its ground for over 1,000 years, and it still looks camera-ready. That's probably why Hollywood can't stop filming here. Gladiator marched through its gates, Game of Thrones plotted within its walls, and The Mummy gave it a starring role. Walk through its tight alleys and you'll feel like you've wandered straight onto a movie set. Except this one is real, with families still living among the ancient structures. You half expect a director to yell action, but instead it's just the desert wind and the quiet rhythm of daily life carrying on as it has for centuries. Food deserves its own chapter in this love letter to Morocco. Tagines arrive at the table still bubbling, lids lifted to release a cloud of steam so aromatic it could make a stranger at the next table jealous. The spices hit you first: cinnamon, cumin, saffron, all tangled together like a symphony you can actually eat. Couscous is so light and fluffy, it feels like eating a cloud that somehow learned how to taste good. And then there's the mint tea poured high from a silver teapot so it froths as it lands in the glass, sweet enough to double as dessert. It's not just a drink, it's practically a national handshake. But food here isn't just about eating, it's about ritual. Meals stretch for hours, stories flow as easily as the tea, and every bite feels like an invitation to slow down and enjoy life. Sit down with a Berber family in the mountains and you'll see what I mean. You'll be welcomed like royalty, stuffed until you swear you can't move, and then coaxed into just one more helping because refusing is practically impossible. Hospitality here isn't just generous, it's relentless in the warmest way possible. You'll leave smiling, heavy with food, and probably carrying an extra kilo or two, both in your stomach and in memories. And that's Morocco, a place where the past and present don't just meet, they collide, crash, and dance around each other like fire and water. One minute you're walking through a Roman ruin, the next you're bargaining for a leather bag in a chaotic market. And then you're watching the sun melt into the Sahara dunes like the world's best special effect. Landscapes bend your sense of reality, cultures overlap like woven threads, and every corner pulls you into another story. It's overwhelming, dazzling, exhausting in the best possible way, and absolutely unforgettable. A country that doesn't just leave its mark on you, but insists on carving itself into your memory. If you've enjoyed this little trip, give the video a thumbs up, drop a comment about which Moroccan spot you'd get lost in first, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Because trust me, there's always another journey waiting.